The Hobbit, an Unexpected Gathering set. Initially released in 2012, priced at £60, it's now worth, used £130 and new £180. It is a magnificently detailed set, small but still relatively decent size for its only 652 pieces, has a very detailed interior and exterior, and comes with 6 minifigures which I'll show you in further detail later. This set was a favourite of mine for a long time. It's the initial set that got me into my collective slash hoarding hobby of Lego. And I really wish they bring back the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit sets, because I think they were really cool. They're mythological yet involved, combat scenes like Star Wars, but with a little bit more like mythical creatures. It was just fantastic, and I want them to bring it back, but considering there's no new material released in movies, I doubt they will. Anyway, let's get on to a closer look at this playable and displayable set. Let's first take a look at the front and the top of the bag end set. It is called An Unexpected Gathering, from the scene in the initial Hobbit, An Unexpected Adventure, but after all it is literally just a set of bag end. And being the set of bag end, which is a house literally built into a hillside, there is a lot of foliage on the set. There's a lot of green pieces, it's built on a green base. There's a bush over here, there's flowers of different colours dotted all around the set. There is a tree on top, I'll show you that in a second. Is carrots growing just there. There is a lovely wooden fence which is stickered, not printed, which is a shame. I would have loved for that to be printed, it would have made it easier, but it would have costed more. There's a two-tone stone path going up to the doorway, which does have the mark that Gandalf left on the door, as well as a couple of windows cleverly built into the side just there. And on the top of the set is a simple yet elegant built tree, two other tree bits of foliage, and a chimney. And this entire roof section is removable, as I'll show you when we go to talk about the interior. Before we go on to remove the lid and talk about the interior, I should state that I don't really play with my playable sets. I more make a scene. So the scene I've made is the dwarves are inside, they've just scattered their weapons all over the place and they're having food, sitting down for a glorious meal, whilst Bilbo is complaining to Gandalf on the outside about the mess inside. So let's remove the lid and get on into it. So the lid just pops off like that. And in we go. So again, the interior is full of lots of little detail. We'll walk around the room and talk through some of the various components that matter in the movies. But as you can see, the scene set is the 4 dwarves sat down having a giant feast, eating all of Bilbo's pantry, whilst their weapons are just scattered around on the floor in various places, making again even more of a mess. And we'll go through in more detail of all the minifigures slightly later in the video. So on the floor in the corner here we've got a trunk with just a grey shovel in. That is one of the dwarves' weapons, but we've got a load of other maps of their journey throughout the trilogy. And a barrel with a random apple in that I've just randomly placed there. And if we move on into the corner, it's actually hard to see due to the lighting. We actually have the Sting, the weapon that Bilbo is given and used just down there on that stand, as well as 2 other various bottles of presumably liquid, alcohol or otherwise. Moving on to the other side of the door, behind the table at which the dwarves are sat, we have a stove with a couple of frying pans, a broom. We have a book and quill, presumably the book that Bilbo writes in. Down in the corner there's a letter and a bottle, just here. Don't know whether that's a letter left for Frodo, or whether that's one given to Bilbo by someone else. There's no name on it, but it's just a nice little bit of detail. And then we have the main component of the interior, which is the table, and 6 chairs for everyone to sit down at. We have various components of food, from a pretzel to a baguette, some cherry/grapes, a sausage, and 2 turkey legs just there. So this build all in all is actually a really nice build. It's non-repetitive, so it's actually really nice to build and construct, as well as it's fun to play with. It's got ease of access because the roof comes off. It's hugely detailed and wasn't that expensive upon initial purchase. However, to get it second hand, it ranges from £120 to 200. I've even seen it online for 300 or 400, some ridiculous prices like that. So you'll probably struggle to get your hands on it, but you're lucky if you do. I'd say keep hold of it. Unfortunately, I ruined my box through travelling, but I've still got the set with all the pieces and it's immaculate condition, other than the box. So here are the 6 minifigures that come with the set. From left to right we have Bilbo Baggins in his suspenders, and then in the middle we have the 4 dwarfs, Boffer, Bomber, Balin and Dwalin, and then at the end we have Gandalf the Grey. So starting at the beginning in detail with Bilbo, he is wearing his suspenders top. He has a dual-faced head piece, one with a happy face and one with a concerned look face, which you're currently looking at, and he is wielding his weapon, the Sting. This is actually an inaccurate detail because he didn't have Sting prior to the Gathering. He got it on his adventure with the dwarfs. Moving on to Boffer the Dwarf, he has a very unique hat moulding. He's wielding his pickaxe, and he is one of 3 dwarfs for 4 minifigures that actually have a cape. He has a dual-faced headpiece, so he has an angry face and a happy face, and has a very nice detailing on the front there. On to Bomber, the renowned chunky dwarf. He again has 2-faced headpiece, one with a happy face and one with an angry face, and he has a very unique moulding on his belly and head that come off together and just add that little bit of chunk to him. That just fits on nicely there. He is wielding a dagger and is the only dwarf without a cape. The next minifigure is Balin the dwarf. He again has a dual-faced headpiece, again one happy, one angry. He has this lovely white moulding of his beard and hair all in one there, wields a sword and has a beautiful printed front with a belt and a nice red cape. Moving on to the last 2 minifigures in the frame there, we have Dwalin the dwarf and Gandalf the Grey. We all know Gandalf. Dwalin is another dwarf with a cape. Both these minifigures actually only have a 1 face on their headpiece. Dwalin always looking angry, and he wields this ginormous and I believe oversized hammer. The hammerhead is bigger than his head, in fact probably bigger than his torso, which just seems silly. So I don't actually like the build of that hammer. I understand the use of it being big to look like a big cumbersome weapon like they do carry, but I think it's just too big. Gandalf, all in grey there, standard Gandalf piece. Still great to have him in my set. In fact, he's the only Gandalf I do have, so I do treasure him. Lovely hat moulding there, and all in grey as he should be at this stage. So to summarise, this set is an old set, but a good set, and a great set. I've taken it apart and rebuilt it to put back on my shelf multiple times, and it's currently just lived on my shelf for the last couple of years because it is the original piece I had prior to my collection, and it is a wonderful set to look at. And it was a decent price at the time. In fact, it was a gift for me, but it was a decent price, especially considering all those minifigures you get. And I think it's wonderful to add to the collection. However, to get your hands on it now, you'd have to pay out quite a bit. Thank you for listening. If you'd like to see more reviews like this, feel free to subscribe. That's all from me from now. Till next time.